Lou, you wanted to talk a bit about kookaburras.
Well, yes, because I've been listening to the kookaburras establishing their territories now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, lying in bed, my favourite location.
So not out cold swimming at Berrima.
No way. And I have noticed, how they are moving around. And they're calling and so on and so forth. So they are establishing those territories.
So you can hear them calling from different points in their territory.
Definitely. They're doing the boundary fence stuff.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of being curious about kookaburras and how they live. They're in the kingfisher family. Mm-hmm. And they're the biggest kingfisher in the whole world.
So like... Same family as the sacred kingfisher that
Absolutely.
We know around here.
Yeah, the sacred kingfisher, I think, doesn't really like winter here, does it?
I don't really know, actually.
No,
I can't say.
I think it tends to migrate to warmer climes a bit.
All
but
right.
it comes back in summer. But usually you do see it near water. Whereas the kookaburras are basically dry land kingfishers, which is really sort of bizarre.
Yeah.
And they're definitely not vegetarians. They eat spiders and worms and insects and snakes and snakes and snakes. I wanted to talk a bit about snakes.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen a kookaburra, have you ever seen a kookaburra catch a snake?
I don't think so.
If you had, you would see that it catches it by the neck.
Ah, clever.
So that those nasty little fangs
Can't
do not
turn around.
go round circles. Will not go round bends.
Yeah.
So they've really got a clamp-like bill. And then, of course, they have to bash it and bash it and bash it and bash it. So I have seen that, and I've seen them do it with other animals as well. They love to bash things. But... Well, it's a way of getting it to die.
Yeah.
They can't do anything else
can they do?
until it. Unlike hawks that would catch snakes, they would catch them in their claws. But the claws of a kingfisher or a kookaburra are very weak.
Won't do it.
They just won't do it. So interestingly, they traditionally live along the east coast, but they've been introduced into Tasmania.
Oh, right.
And into southwest WA.
Oh.
Now
that's right. I remember
Yeah.
one of the friends of the podcast grumbling about them in Perth. Yeah.
Well, that's it. And I think they were imported for their snake catching qualities.
Oh, right.
But now everybody is calling them a pest there.
Oh.
Yes. So it was way back in 905, I think, for Tasmania, in 1898 in Western Australia. And now, sorry, humans, you screwed up there. If you don't like them, too bad, because they've settled in. But another thing I love about the kookaburras is that they are what they call cooperative breeders. Mm-hmm. You know all about that, don't you?
I don't know about all about that. Tell me about that.
Well, they nest in hollows. And, of course, we all know hollows are in short supply, and there are so many animals, birds that nest in hollows. So very hard to find one. But having found one, I can see the appeal because, from predators, a good hole is going to be really good. They lay their eggs, maybe 2, occasionally 3, and they don't really know why this happens, but there are lots of theories. They don't actually pay them, but they employ other birds to help feed the birds, brood the birds, sit on the nest.
Other kookaburras.
Other kookaburras. Now, some of them are siblings, or some of them are from a previous year, brothers and sisters, but not all of them.
Oh.
And sometimes they think that they do this thing that some other birds do, where they actually capture and kidnap other young kingfishers to help at the nest.
With their family.
To feed them and to sit on the nest and to generally be helpful. Now, this is a phenomena that's really Australian. It doesn't happen in Europe.
Oh,
But it does happen
Just
in Africa.
cooperative breeding in
this
general.
cooperative breeding is quite common here.
Oh,
And when I was at uni, they used to say it was because the conditions in Australia were so tough that they needed helpers to raise a single brood.
wow. Yeah.
But nowadays, I think the thinking's changed a bit, and they're thinking, no, it's because there aren't that many territories and the young ones can't find their own homes at first, so they stay back with the parents.
Oh, so they're kind of there anyway. They may as well help.
Yes, so to tell you the truth, it's not known why it is so common here in Australia for these cooperative breeders. But so really you get couple of parents, mum and dad, and then you might get 3 or more birds coming in. And they even get brood patches on their breasts.
The helping ones.
The helping ones develop bare feathers so that when they are sitting on the parents' eggs, they basically the heat of their bodies is transferred to the eggs.
And around about how many eggs will they have in one nest?
They will usually have 2, sometimes 3. And there is a rather nasty thing that can go on with 3 because
I can see where you're going here.
Yeah. Something called siblicide, which is the killing of your siblings. And again, there are all these theories why it is, especially if you have 3. The first one hatches, he gets nice and fed, or she. Then the second one gets reasonably fed. And the third one, of course, is definitely, already in the back burner.
Behind the play.
And is small. And they often will kill the third
Number
one
3.
in order to get fed.
Right.
So it's kind of not pretty, but that's nature. Nature's not pretty.
That's right.
So it's a bit sad that happens, but it is the way of the world. And they do think sometimes they have a third egg as a... This is another theory, we're full of theories, but we don't really know because, again, we don't speak kookaburra. But it may be that they have 3 eggs as an insurance policy in case egg number 1 and egg number 2 don't make it.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
These are some of the speculations of bird enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Yes, so quite interesting, these guys.
Yeah, and a couple of things that I thought were worth mentioning about kookaburras is that, like so many birds, these guys are also vulnerable to smaller animals who have ingested rodenticides.
Right.
So that, again, we hear about rodenticides not being good for our larger raptors and things, but kookaburras are another group who will eat animals that have been poisoned by rodenticides.
Yeah, they will take mice, for sure. Sure they will.
So, again, if you haven't heard our little snippet about rodenticides, I think that one's called Rats in the Ranks. Check that out on YouTube. If you're wondering what to use to kill rodents, there's quite a lot of good advice in there. And also, this is just a silly little bit of trivia that I read. You were talking about them being introduced in Tasmania and WA. There is a kookaburra in Suffolk in the UK, which has been consistently photographed since 2017 and was photographed most recently in March 2024.
Okay.
Just a single one, poor thing. They think it's probably an escapee from somewhere.
Yes.
But it's managed, fortunately, I guess, in a way, it's a single one, so it's not going to do a takeover bid like they have elsewhere in Australia. But it's managed to make a life in Suffolk.
Right.
So there you go.
Very strange. Yeah, but, I do wonder, it's cold in England in the winter, but it's cold in the Highlands here, isn't it? And,
they're definitely still around through the winter here.
I know they are here, but what are they eating? Because there's no lizards around. There's no reptiles.
Yeah. Don't know the answer to that.